Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Outpost, a podcast about what? Inspired thinking. Here we are. I'm feeling inspired. Jared is feeling inspired. Mark is feeling old. Krista is feeling creative. Here we go. I'm not even going to ask anybody how they're doing today because who cares? Let's start with a community question.
I'll go first.
Jared, go.
Okay, so our community question. Jake asks, how do you make your work feel like play?
Jake, good question, Jake. Thanks for writing in, man. My quick answer, how do you make your work feel like play, is by adding other people to it.
Ooh.
It's like anytime I do something by myself, I do feel kind of tortured. I just can't get myself to focus around something. So if I bring another person into it, even if it's for my business, we're all remote, and so we'll like video chat for a half hour if I know I have to get a task done. It's like, hey, you want to get on with me real quick? We can bounce back and forth. They can clap for me when I'm done. It makes my work feel like play.
Do you feel like they add the needed perspective to get you there, or do you feel like they are the necessary soundboard to give you the confidence to like confirm that your ideas are good?
I think part of it is they give a reflection for me. So if I'm not staying focused, it's obvious.
Course corrections.
Yes, yeah. It's a reflection. Imagine if somebody's watching me, I'm supposed to be doing this task, and instead I'm playing on my phone. Embarrassing. If I'm by myself, normal. You know?
Yeah, it's a break if you're by yourself.
Yes, exactly.
And a break with an indeterminate time.
Exactly. I can make these breaks last all afternoon if I want when I'm by myself. So I've got to add other people into my mix to make things feel like play for my work.
That is really interesting. And I think mine is kind of similar, except for instead of people, it's objects.
Okay.
Like, rather than, like, if I'm trying to create an idea, rather than turning that into, I have to form this out of nothingness, I like look at other things and see like, I can see a face in that. What is, that is that creature, and it's already looking at me, and then I just have to draw it. Or like letting the media kind of do its own thing. Like the way that water flows is just so beautiful. And so like letting ink flow naturally in water and then seeing what happens, like seeing what shapes come out, and then it's already a thing. And then it's more like I am interacting with it and playing with it. And it's kind of back and forth similarly to people, but no, I don't need to talk to anybody.
Yeah, and you get to kind of manipulate that environment and those other variables a little bit.
Yeah, and so like I impact it, and then it impacts me, and so it feels like it's more than just like me creating.
But you don't have to people.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Not at the early stages, anyway.
Uh-huh. What makes your work feel like play?
Well, I think it's simple for me. I treat everything like, how can this be approached in a way that it hasn't been before, that I haven't seen done before? And so I challenge myself as the puzzle master to like take this really banal, boring job or task and like, what if my job was to make this fun for everyone? Like, what would I do? And even though I end up kind of doing whatever I end up doing, my mind is entertained now. And you start thinking about all the things that you could do that are just crazy and stupid and bizarre. And then you dismiss them one by one until you find one that actually is viable. And you're like, nobody's done that before that I've ever seen. This might be cool. And then you bring others in, and then you share it, and they tell you how terrible that is. But then you keep repeating that until everybody's like, that's brilliant, like.
Yeah, that reminds me just of that episode where Teresa talked about deductive creativity, where you come up with all the different ways that one object could be used, and then start breaking them down.
Iteration
is
what it is. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you can't always do that. Sometimes you have to be efficient and do something the way you're going to do the dishes the way they've always been done. Mm-hmm. You're going to wash them off with water. You can think about how to do it differently.
But you could turn on music and you could dance while you're doing it.
You can go somewhere else in your head, right? Go to your happy place while you're doing the terrible stuff that you don't want to do. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That doesn't necessarily make it play,
but it adds some play to it.
It does add some play to it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to quote the great philosopher Mary Poppins.
Yes.
In every job that must be done, there is an element of fun. First you find the fun, and snap, the job's a game. And that is something that I like, a philosophy that I take to basically every aspect of my life. And I really do think that in every activity there are places to be like testing yourself, to be trying to come up with like answers and solutions to small micro problems that you're introducing just for the heck of it. And that I sort of lost my train of thought.
We're going to get you an umbrella. It's just that simple.
Yeah, and so a couple examples of ways that I try to find fun in things is like I've mentioned this before. I love alliteration. I think alliteration is a really fun literary device. And so any time that I can like hear this sort of sense in my brain that this might be a good place for an alliteration, I will spend like 10 minutes thinking through different like iterations of what this alliteration could be.
I like how you were when you were just showing that, your eye twitched a little. When I get this sense that it could be an alliteration.
I get the tingle, you know what I'm saying? And another way that I try to find the play within the job is when I'm in moments of creative exploration, I try to put on the like inhibitors and the limiters after, and I let myself go crazy during the exploration phase and like make a ton of, like, for instance, if I'm designing a survival task, I will go crazy thinking about all the different like arcs, ways that we're going to do something and how it's going to negatively impact us and how we're going to respond to that and how the whole planet is going to do something. And we'll think really high level and think about how crazy it could be and live in the joy of imagining different permutations of this whole arc of trying to survive. And then once I feel like I have a cohesive and satisfying arc, I will then start trying to mechanically implement it.
Interesting. I almost feel like I do an opposite. I can function much better if I have these strategy pieces in place and I only have to solve this one problem. When I have to, it doesn't feel like play to me. When I have to come up with tons of solutions without much structure, it feels daunting. So interesting. I don't want to play with you anyway.
Well, maybe if not to call you out because I'm also a procrastinator, but maybe if we started our projects earlier, we would have more time to enjoy the part where we could think of a lot of different things.
Cheers.